Hello, my dear students. Welcome, all of you. Today, we will start History Chapter 8 Spread of Modern Education in India. In this chapter, we are going to talk about some learning objectives like traditional Indian education system, introduction of the British educational policy, Orientalist and Anglicist debate, the Woods Dispatch, impact of British educational policy, introduction of Western education gave way to the feeling of nationalism, promotion of national education in India, and case study about Aligarh and Baroda. Education in India was largely religious till the 19th century. The centers of the education were Pathshalas, Maktabas, and Madrasa. Higher education was limited to a few. These educational institutions received grants from the rulers and rich merchants. The need for education and modern population was felt by British to market their goods. So initially the education in India was completely neglected by the British. What were the motives of British educational policy? Already we know that initially the education in India was completely neglected by the British. Primary schools were only meant for the rich, and Christian missionaries came to India to spread Christianity. They expected that it would encourage Christianity and Indians would start hating their religions and culture. Britishers opened schools and colleges in different parts of the country like in Madras, Bengal and Bombay. The medium of instruction was English in these schools. The Christian missionaries also forced the government to take interest in the field of education. Warren Hastings set up the first government-aided institute in 1781 that was called Madrasa. Jonathan Duncan established Banaras Sanskrit College in 1791. In this college, courses were offered on old pattern. Fort William College was set up in 1801 at Calcutta. Its main objective was to acquaint the British officer with Indian customs, law, history and language. Steps taken for improvement of education during the company rule prior to 1857 in many ways. Its main objective was to acquaint the British officers with Indian customs. So, the most important reason for giving modern education to the Indians was that the British wanted a cheap supply of educated Indians to work as clerks in their administration. It was too costly and perhaps not even possible to bring Englishmen from England for this kind of jobs. So the British introduced modern education in India in order to cut down the cost of administration. So now we are going to talk about the beginning of modern education. So for the first time British rulers thought of educating Indians. For that the Britishers introduced a Charter Act of 1813. A sum of 1 lakh rupees per year was sanctioned by the Britishers for educational purpose. But due to the controversy, nothing was done and the money could not be utilized for its objective during the Charter Act of 1813. Our next topic is the evolution of the educational policy of the British. The British expected that if Indians were given modern education, they would become good subjects and accept British rule willingly. They would accept the culture and policies of the British and will become loyal supporters of the British rule in India. For this, it was necessary to study Indian history, philosophy, and law. William Jones, an expert in law and linguist, took this task. He began to study ancient Indian texts of law, philosophy, religion, morality, arithmetic, medicine, and other science. Englishmen like Henry Thomas Colebrook was also busy discovering the ancient Indian heritage, mastering Indian languages, and translating Sanskrit and Persian works into English. Together with them, Jones set up the Asiatic Society of Bengal and started a journal called Asiatic Researches. Jones and Colebrook shared a deep respect for the ancient culture, both Indian and the West Indian civilization. They felt had attained glory in the ancient past but had subsequently declined. In order to understand India, it was necessary to discover the sacred and legal text written in ancient times. Jones and Colebrook went about discovering ancient texts, understanding their meaning, translating them, and making their findings known to others. Several company officials felt that Hindus and Muslims ought to be taught that they were already familiar with and what they valued and treasured, instead of subjects that were alien to them. Several company officials felt that Hindus and Muslims ought to be taught what they were already familiar with and what they valued and treasured, instead of subjects that were alien to them like English. It was thought that this was the only way the British could win the hearts of the natives and could earn their respect. Influenced by the Orientalist thinking, a madrasa was set up in Calcutta in 1781 to promote the study of Arabic, Persian, and Islamic law. The Hindu college was established in Banaras in 1791 to encourage the study of the ancient Sanskrit texts that would be useful for the administration of the country. Not all officials shared these views, many were very strong in their criticism of the Orientalist. The Anglicist point of view. James Mill was one of those who attacked the Orientalist. He was of the opinion that Indians should be made familiar with the scientific and technical advances that the West had made, rather than with the poetry and sacred literature of the Orient. Thomas Babington Macaulay, another critic of Orientation, saw India as an uncivilized country that needed to be civilized. He emphasized the need to teach Indians the English language. The English Education Act of 1835 was introduced. Its motive was to make English the medium of instruction for higher education and to stop the promotion of Oriental institutions like Calcutta Madrasa and Banaras Sanskrit College. Wood's Dispatch. An 1854 an education dispatch, popularly known as Wood's Dispatch, was sent to India, outlining the education policy that was to be followed in India. It emphasized once again the practical benefits of system of European learning. Wood's dispatch argued that European learning would enable Indians to recognize the advantages that flow from expansion of trade and commerce and make them see the importance of developing countries' resources and would also improve the moral character of Indians. The dispatch recommended of the following measures for the realization of the desired aim, like the establishment of a separate department of education for its administration, the foundation of universities at the three presidency towns, stress on mass education, female education, and improvement of vernaculars. The establishment of new middle schools and education department was to be set up in every province. Benefits of English education. English education had some impacts in India, like it provided jobs to Indians knowing English, which promoted it further. It brought people of different regions together. English language created a feeling of oneness amongst the Indians. Knowledge of Western literature revolutionized Indian thoughts. With the opening of universities, higher education began to gain importance. It also encouraged Indian people to struggle for independence. English became official language, replacing Persian. It created many supporters of British policy. But English education also had some drawbacks, like English education produced only clerks as Indians were not appointed to the higher post. As people knew about British policies, they started criticizing British. About 90% of Indians remained illiterate due to the English education system. Many people became supporters of British, and it was not good for Indian independence struggle. Due to the emphasis on Western education, the traditional Indian education given by the Pathshalas and Madrasas declined. There was only one engineering college at Roorkee, but that too was open only to the Europeans. So, my dear children, that's the end for today's session. We will meet in our next class with new topics. Till then, bye. Take a very good care of yourself and happy learning.